All right, let's talk about the Yinzers. Let's talk about the Pittsburgh Steelers. The Titans will be playing in Pittsburgh this Thursday night. A very big game and a very quick turnaround for a team coming off of a big win with a rookie quarterback who, you know, big debut, great start, really difficult spot to have to turn around on a short week like this and go into an atmosphere like that to have to perform. And given the Titans' track record on the road this season, doesn't bode well. Maybe they break that streak this week. But let's look at some of the numbers here, and then I want to get your 10,000-foot view on this team because we talked about it a little bit, you and I, in the press conference at the end of the game this weekend. What exactly the Titans will be seeing defensively from this Steelers team? You used a word that I thought was very appropriate. That the defense is not good; they're opportunistic. So I want you to elaborate on that in a minute. But just some numbers. The Titans have not won in Pittsburgh since 2013. They're 0-4 against them in their past 4 games. Most recently, they played them in a very big, I believe it was 5-0 versus 5-0 matchup in 2020 when Pittsburgh came to town and won. Is there a correction?
They did play in 2021 in Pittsburgh.
Okay, so that was 2 times ago. Excuse me.
And that was in 2021. And the Titans, I believe that was one of their last losses of the year, but they went into that Pittsburgh game without AJ Brown and without Derrick Henry.
Okay, yeah, you're jogging my memory now. That's when they were all hurt. Absolutely. So yeah, they've played them a couple times in the recent past. They've not come up with a victory in those past 4 games. They're 3-8 against the Steelers since 2003, 1-5 in Pittsburgh since 2003. So a tough environment and a lopsided rivalry here, a lopsided series. Tell me about this Pittsburgh defense, which is the focus of, Will Levis will be going up against these guys, a different group than what he saw in Atlanta. In some cases, I would say a better group, especially in terms of pass rush and the guys that he's got to worry about when he drops back to pass. But as you pointed out to me on Sunday, this defense is not as strong as you might think based on the players on the roster.
No, and when I use opportunistic, again, it is the perfect term for this team. I mean, they're 27th against the run, allowing 137.1 yards per game. They're 24th in pass defense, and they were honestly a lot worse than that before they started playing their rookie corner, Joey Porter Jr., who has come in and he's played pretty well, but they're still 24th in the league.
Man. Yeah.
Yes, he has looked very good. The passer rating when he's getting thrown to up until this past week was a whopping 0.0. So he's been getting targeted a lot and been really good. So 245 yards passing allowed per game. And so when you kind of culminate that, they're around the 28th best defense in the league. So, they're not looking really good. But here's where they get teams is that they have a plus 7 turnover differential, and that's where they get you. Like when you look at this game that they had against the Jags, the Jags had multiple opportunities to put up some points, some of which were right there in the red zone. They turned the ball over 3 times in their own territory that the Steelers capitalized and kept them from scoring points. So that is what this team has been doing all year long to get wins. Without some of their opportunistic turnovers, I really see them being more of a one-win team. I mean, the only game that they have won without an opportunistic turnover was in week 3 against the Raiders. And so that's really been the key as to why this defense has been somewhat sustainable this year.
Yeah, it feels like every single game you watch of the Steelers this season and in the past couple of seasons, it's, oh, would you look at that? The defense scored a touchdown somehow, whether it was a fumble recovery or a pick six, or, to be frank, the Steelers have relied in a couple of games on their defense scoring for them because Lord knows the offense wasn't capable of doing it. This Matt Canada offense has been a topic of much discussion this year because, well, they're chanting "Fire Matt Canada" from the stands every week in Pittsburgh, and this offense is notorious for, unless they've broken it in the past couple of weeks and I've lost track, I don't think Matt Canada as an offensive coordinator has ever had an offense put up more than 400 yards in a single game. Is this still accurate?
No, so I believe it has been 54 games straight that he has not put up a 400-yard game, and that has been his entire tenure since he was hired in 2021. So the offense has been terrible. But to be honest with you, and I got to be frank about this, Matt Canada bears all the blames, but this has been more of what Mike Tomlin, the head coach, likes to call the popcorn effect. It has to do with Kenny Pickett.
Okay.
Sometimes he's missing passes and just missing reads and overthrowing people and not being the most accurate quarterback. Sometimes it's the running game, the Najee Harris and Jalen Warren not hitting the proper holes and missing opportunities and not getting going in the running game. Other times it's the receivers being lazy, not following through with their routes and dropping balls, or the offensive line just letting out free rushers and not having the proper scheme for the front that they're seeing. It seems to be it's always one thing or the other. And although Matt Canada's offensive scheme is how a lot of professionals would call it, Saturday-esque, more of a college-based scheme.
Right.
There's a lot of lack of execution that has to be put on display as well for the woes that the Steelers have had on offense. And although he's not putting them in the best predicament, the players aren't doing themselves any favors either.
So let me wrap up with this question, then we'll get you out of here. Looking ahead to this game, knowing what you know about both of these teams, what comes to mind for you first, or maybe the couple of things where it's like, that's going to be the key to this game? Is this going to be a game that's won in the trenches? Is it going to be a ball control game? Is it going to be which team's offensive weapons can produce in that big moment that is necessary in the game? I know the total in this game is currently at 37. The weather kind of questionable. It's going to be chilly, but otherwise pretty good football atmosphere, it seems like. Low scoring game between two teams whose offenses have been suspect this year. What do you think the keys to victory for either team will be in this one?
So the keys to victory, I'll start with the Titans. And this kind of goes hand in hand. So the way I see the Titans getting a victory here is one, running their offense through Derrick Henry. Again, I already talked to you about how the Steelers are the 27th best run defense in the league. They have not been really good at all in that area. And I believe Derrick Henry is going to be the best back outside of maybe Nick Chubb in week 2 that they have seen all season long. So if they really ride Derrick Henry, and they do not allow opportunities for the Steelers to create turnovers, which is what has really won them ball games this year. And if they can get out to an early lead, that is going to be the key for the Titans. Okay. For the Steelers, on the other hand, they are going to do their best to disrupt Will Levis. And if Will Levis in this blocking scheme does not shapen up, to protect him from guys like TJ Watt, obviously Alex Highsmith, and a bunch of other guys that are on this defensive front, it's going to be a long day. They have got to stick with the run if the Titans want a chance in this match.
Judy, by the way, based on the success that Will Levis had passing deep so often this past week, I'm not an expert, but hear me out. I have a feeling maybe there'll be a couple more too high safety looks this week from the Steelers. I think they may want to take that away from Levis and force him to beat them underneath. I don't think you have to be an expert to see that one coming, right?
They're gonna play very conservatively because they lost Minkah Fitzpatrick with a hamstring in this matchup, so he will not be playing. But on the tail end of this, I do need to bring up quarterback Kenny Pickett. Kenny Pickett spoke with the media today, and he said that, he's going to be out there. He is basically putting himself in the game. He seemed
confident. Yeah.
And so here's what I want to say about
is that
Kenny
a good
Pickett.
Thing? Is hobbled Kenny Pickett better than Mitch Trubisky? What do you think?
Very much so. Very much so. So Mitch Trubisky last year, he's a turnover machine, and that's just something that Kenny Pickett is not. A lot of people talk about Kenny Pickett and his small hands and how that can be a fumbling issue. Well, Kenny Pickett's only fumbled the ball 5 times in the past 2 seasons, and he's only fumbled once this year, which was this past game against the Jags, where he fumbled the ball out of bounds. So I wouldn't really say that he is prone to fumble. But here's the key thing about Kenny Pickett, which is just mind-boggling to Steeler fans and to everybody. The guy in quarters 1 through 3 looks like a quarterback that borderline shouldn't be in the NFL. But when it becomes the fourth quarter,
Turns it
He's
on.
one of the best quarterbacks in the entire NFL, Easton.
That's
I
got to
don't
be
know
so
how else to say
frustrating
it.
to watch every week. It's got to be so
Listen,
frustrating.
listen to these stats because it's crazy. In
Okay.
quarters 1 through 3 this season only, he has completed 56.2% of his passes. He has a 4-to-3 touchdown to interception ratio and a passer rating of 45.8. In the fourth quarter only this year, he has completed 73% of his passes for 374 yards, 1 touchdown, 1 pick that came in week 1 against the San Francisco 49ers, and a passer rating of 102.8. That is almost double the amount of quarters of 1 through 3. It's crazy.
He's twice as good a quarterback in the fourth quarter as he is the rest of the
Steeler
game.
fans and the like. We just don't get it.
He's twice as good in the fourth quarter is what I'm hearing. I mean, it's
he also has started 19 games, 2 of which he has not finished the game. He has 6 fourth quarter comebacks in 19 games as a starter.
So clutch.
6 fourth quarter comebacks. He's clutch. I don't know what else to tell you.
But he's also a big part of the reason they're in these situations in the first place.
Yes,
right?
very much so.
Okay.